Hi everyone, welcome to the next series of Grow Your Omnichannel Business. I'm Anshuk Aggarwal, co-founder of Adyogi, and today I have with me a very dear friend of mine, Anshuman, who is the country head of BigCommerce in India. I have known him for over last 6+ years, and I've worked very closely with him. He's one of the subject matter experts today for cross-border commerce. To give you a little context, there's a lot of interest we are seeing in India of brands in India selling to markets outside India. Mainly, we have seen US, UK, Australia, Canada as four key geographies. But we've also seen that brands, when they launch cross border, they tend to face a lot of challenges initially. And today, my discussion is mostly going to be around some of the key challenges which brands face when they launch cross border. So, sort of, let's dive straight in. But first, I would like Anshuman to sort of introduce himself, and we can take it from there.
Yeah, thank you, Anshuk. I think this is awesome. I think these small chit chats, these general Gyan sessions are so awesome, and I really cherish a lot of moments of working together with you as a company. I think to a lot of extent, if I see, I think the journey has been common. We've grown together, and I've seen the industry also growing together. I think it's been the passive, and it's been the time that it was a time that everyone grew together, and there was great learning. Thank you, Anshuk, for inviting me today, and thank you. Let's see if I can. I'll try my level best to educate people with whatever I can.
Absolutely, Anshuman. So, Anshuman, we'll start with probably a very sort of high-level question. You have seen so many brands scale cross-border as well. What do you think are some of the key benefits when a brand is scaling cross-border?
Okay, so we are talking about a brand who's attained some level of success and some level of profitability and some level of market share in India. Right now, we all know that Indians are across the globe, and the brands that we are talking about today, who like home, what we call as homegrown brands from India, the way they want to grow and the way they have to do it is like everyone today wants to add more and more sales channel to increase efficiency, increase their customer base, increase their average order value, and definitely valuation game, right? So for a lot of brands, with and this has to do with a lot of fashion brands and a lot of a few similar categories. So it's really great for international expansion because of from very simple few reasons. Market diversification, doing a cross border business, you are never at a risk of COD coming back to you. I know a few brands who didn't got a great success in India, but they had a great success doing cross border. A lot of brands who were like native first, they started only cross border and then ended India, has also been one of the another reasons. From direct e-commerce, you can also go the traditional retail way. Organizational growth, learning about the brand, investing or appealing your investors.
Yes,
And last,
absolutely.
which is very critical, government is giving a lot of grants. You don't have to pay GST. There is some benefits and discounts on LUT, and some equalization levy that they used to charge earlier. So I think you get rid of all those, a lot of those challenges around taxation. I think that's also an additional source that the government is also now promoting this.
Absolutely, Anshuman. In fact, I just want to add to the profitability point which you mentioned. We have also seen that brands, the PNL in cross-border looks much more healthier than the PNL in India. The two, three key reasons we have seen. One, we have seen that typically price points of the same product are higher. You have a markup when you are selling in the US, UK. We've also seen order basket sizes being bigger. In India, maybe in one order, you're only getting 1.1, 1.2 products. But when we sell cross border, we have seen basket sizes as high as 2.5 to 3. And COD, I think, is the biggest thing. In India, gross versus net, we have seen a huge dropout in sales because cash on delivery, there is a lot of RTO happening. But most of these Western geographies are online only, which means that the COD and RTO is much lesser. In fact, there's practically no RTO.
I would love to add a stat here as well. So there's this company called Statista. I think in 2021 they launched the stats that 59% of respondents sitting outside India actually love to shop from a website which is outside of their region because of various reasons. One, they don't get access to those products. They get
Hmm.
those products at a cheaper price. They get a variety, and they actually end up buying those products which they don't find in local retail market. Like, I know a merchant from India who sells a lot of puja samagri,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
they get so much great orders now that he's been approached by businesses in North America and somewhere in Europe as well to send bulk shipments to them. So they started as D2C and now ended up selling shipments in terms of big containers as B2B and preparing for those festival and puja seasons.
Got it. Got it. Very interesting. Anshuman, one of the questions I often get asked when brands are going cross border is should they have a single website or should they have multiple websites? I have seen some cases where brands have one website for US, one website for UK, one website for Singapore, and they end up having multiple websites. And we have seen some operational challenges also coming with them. What have you seen working in this space, and or what are the best practices which you think brands should follow?
Okay. Now, the way tech is available in this country today with some of those renowned platforms that I don't want to name out right now. The problem is they don't have a solution for multi-currency. Now, assume you have a website where you're showing a product in USD, you're showing a promotion on the checkout page in INR and checkout in INR. That is a huge blunder where a huge dropout happens, which increases in abandoned carts. Now, to reduce this, the guiding factor and the platforms are telling them to have multiple stores. Now, multiple stores means you have to manage your store multiple times, store UI UX multiple times, promotions, catalog, inventory, all those things managing multiple times, and towards the end of the day, multiple apps and all those things. So the problem is availability of solution. Now with BigCommerce, we've solved all those problems. We have something called a multi-storefront and a multi-currency solution. Now, if it is the same catalog, and if you want to sell in multiple locations, the way we solve it, we enable multi-currency in a fashion that you can sync payments uh, in the currency, and you can also allocate a payment gateway. Now the broad mistakes that are happening, and kind of solution that merchants were looking for, like localized payments, you know
Yes.
website optimization for promotions, payment, and languages. Then when you create multiple stores, you sometimes have to redirect traffic as well. Now this redirection of traffic, Google sees this as a problem. In a lot of cases, I know your Google Merchant Center gets blocked, which means you can't
Yes.
market, you can't do a lot of. So these are some of those challenges that happen. And then things around managing your pricing, price multiplier, putting a fixed price versus percentage on all those things. So all these problems we have solved natively on our platform, and I think the way it is being built and the way the platform is built, it suits amazingly well for cross-border transactions. You have to manage currencies, you have to manage languages, you have to manage the pricing. The way we have solved it is you can have a price list basis your country, your geography, and currency, right? So a product which is, say, for 1,000 rupees in India, and now with all the shipping charge and all those things, you want to sell it for, say, 2,500 in USD. A simple price factor would say that this is now available for, say, $30, whereas some of the merchants would say that this product has to be sold for $35 in US, yeah,
Yes.
44 Canadian dollars in Canada, and
Yes.
say 30 pounds in UK, and same
Yes.
product has to be sold for 32 euro in other European countries. So we have a solution as a price list to manage all these challenges. Then you can manage promotions. The best thing is if it is Cyber Friday, sorry, my bad. A Cyber Monday and a promotion happening in the US, in BigCommerce you can configure your promotion basis the currency, which means if a customer is coming from US and it's a promotional time, they will see promotion, and that promotion is only applicable to that specific currency in that specific time. So I think your promotions engine, inventory engine, catalog engine, pricing engine, all that works really well along with taxation.
Absolutely, Anshuman. In fact, I'll tell you a couple of our own examples as well. We have seen that when brands have multiple websites for multiple countries, one of the common problems which comes is what if someone from the US, let's say, visits the India website, right? And we have, in those cases, tried to implement redirections, and we usually face problem with Merchant Center. So Google Merchant Center generally does not encourage redirections. So what it has to be done is, instead of automatic redirection, we have to put a manual redirection, which means that when you land on the website, there is a large pop-up on the website saying that this is the India website, and then when you click OK, you redirect to the US website. So
But
these are
then
some of
there
the
are
challenges.
yeah, there are ways to interrupt that as well, and that is where a price parity goes for a toss. And then फिर एक अमेरिकन कस्टमर इंडियन वेबसाइट पे भी ऑर्डर कर जाता है, फिर ट्विटर पे तो जाके लिखता है, ये करता है, वो करता है, टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ द डे इंडियंस और उनको प्रॉब्लम आती है. सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट, बट आई थॉट
Correct,
वैलिड
correct. No,
पॉइंट.
absolutely, absolutely, Anshuman. In fact, I'll add on to your pricing point also. So one of the recommendations, Anshuman, we tell to our brands is, when you price the products in the US, of course, there is a shipping charge which needs to be taken into account. But sometimes brands miss out on the fact that even acquisition costs are very different in US compared to India. And I'll give you an example. In India, we have typically seen CPMs, which is cost of ads on Facebook, to the tune of roughly about $2, which is around 160 odd rupees. But the same CPM in US could be as high as $7 to $8, which is roughly about 3 to 4 times of India. Which means that if there is a certain acquisition cost in India, maybe you're incurring a cost of like $10, 800 rupees per acquisition. The same acquisition cost in US could be as high as $30 or $40 as well.
Correct.
And that's exactly the reason why the pricing has to accommodate the acquisition cost and the shipping cost and the tax, which is why the pricing in US need not be same as pricing in UK, need not be same as pricing in Europe, which is exactly the kind of example which you spoke about.
Yeah,
One
exactly.
more
And then,
point.
sorry, I just want to add one line. Some of my cross-border brands that I've worked in the past, they say that a return, a second order or third order, it's like, retention with the customer is much, much higher with merchants sitting abroad versus merchants in India who have like so many options to try out from. So I think वो brand loyalty भी बननी शुरू हो जाती है, brand recognition बननी शुरू हो जाती है, and then repeat purchase always adds value, because ये जो आपने भी example दिया around $40 per transaction or per new customer acquisition cost, repeat transaction में वो zero होती है.
Correct. Yes. Absolutely. So, just last couple of questions, Anshuman. So, for a brand which is doing cross-border, how do you think that they will? We have seen that a lot of cases, there's a lot of abandonment happening after add to carts also. I know you spoke about some of the reasons why that cart abandonment happens. Like, for example, typically we see in India post add to cart conversions of around 10 to 12%. But for some of the cross-border websites, we have seen post add to cart conversions can be as low as 2 to 3%. In fact, one of the ethnic brands we work with, we saw a 3% post add to cart conversion. What do you think are some of the levers which a brand can pull to improve that?
I think it is first important to understand why abandonment increases in cross-border. So here are a few things which I have observed is a big problem. And we spoke about this as well. Adding shipping and taxation on the checkout, which is actually an unexpected cost that happens towards the end, can be one of the reasons. Second, wrong checkout currency. For a lot of stores that I see, that they display prices in USD, that's an example, but the checkout happens in INR. Then on top of it, a preferred payment method like a PayPal or an Apple Pay or something are missing. Preferred payment method, अगर वहाँ पे credit card भी हो, it's a problem. Third, ये बहुत important है समझना, चाहे even if you are selling to Indians sitting abroad, if they're doing their first transaction outside US on their credit card, they need to call up the bank to enable multi-currency cross-country transactions. And sometimes if the pricing is, just take an example of 16,000 rupees, if you convert it in USD, it is $200. Now the bank sees a checkout coming to them for 16,000, which they need to reconvert. In more than 70% of the cases for such transaction, even if multi-currency is activated, they will discourage the transaction and they will reject the transaction because of they see from 3 digits it has gone to 5 digits. So unko ek bank ke parameters mein it is a risk. Yeah. So that's third reason. That's fourth reason. A lot of times people don't talk about their return policy. Some hiccups and glitches on the website that the mobile doesn't work well, and then Your discount promotions which you spoke on the landing page or emails or campaign are not visible on the checkout page. Like customer should see the discounts and promotions, and should have a quick button, like just the way we see it on Zomato and other places. So these are some of the reasons जहाँ पे abandon cart बढ़ता है. अगर आप इन सबको solve कर सकते हो, तो this goes a very good way. Now just to add one more point, Americans are used to see a price and then taxes being get it added later, because वहां पे हर जोन का, हर स्टेट का, हर जिप कोड का अलग टैक्स स्ट्रक्चर चलता है. कहीं 7% है, कहीं 10% है, कहीं 9.3% है. तो ये कॉन्फ़िगरेशन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसलिए आपको अलग से ही करनी है. तो यू नीड अ गुड टैक्सेशन टूल टुवर्ड्स द एंड, और यू डोंट वांट टू फॉल इनटू मल्टीपल चैलेंजेस की जहां पे आपने यहां से तो शिपमेंट भेज दी, आपने प्रॉपर टैक्स बाइफिकेशन दिया नहीं, और कंज्यूमर जिसने शिपमेंट मांगी है उसको वहां पे एक एडिशनल फीस देनी पड़ गई. सो दीज आर आल्सो सम ऑफ द रीजंस वेयर आपको कस्टमर डिससैटिस्फैक्शन मिलता है. नाउ आई थिंक द रिवर्स टू इट इज कार्ट अबैंडनमेंट कैसे रिड्यूस की, कन्वर्जन परसेंटेज कैसे किया जाए, यू नो, हैव एन इफेक्टिव चेकआउट एक्सपीरियंस जहां पे मल्टी करेंसी हो. अगर कस्टमर यूएस से आ रहा है और वहां पे पेपैल फेमस है या स्ट्राइप्स फेमस है तो वही लगाओ, वहां पे कैश ऑन डिलीवरी या रेजर पे नहीं दिखना चाहिए. अगर जर्मनी से आ रहा है वहां पे जायरो पे या पेपैल फेमस, वहां सिर्फ पेपैल दिखना चाहिए. एंड ऑन द सेम वेबसाइट अगर कस्टमर इंडिया से आ रहे हैं तो यू कैन शो रेजर पे यू एंड अदर ऑप्शंस. बट वो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी बहुत 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 क्रिटिकल है. एंड देन यस, मोबाइल नंबर से चेकआउट कराना, ऑर्डर एक्सेप्टिंग फ्रॉम मोबाइल नंबर इज ऑल्सो बिकमिंग वन ऑफ दोज रीजंस जहां पे हम क्विक चेकआउट की बात करते हैं.
Got it, absolutely. In fact, Anshuman, this is exactly what we saw for one of our brands also. They had a fully functional US website, but when people came on the checkout page, the currency was shown in INR. And we saw in that particular case, there was a good 95% dropout between add to cart to checkout, because majority people, when they came on the checkout page and they saw in INR, even I'm talking about NRIs, even NRIs looking at the INR currency tend to drop off, because you come with a certain price point in your mind and you see something very, very different in INR, and that's where dropout causes. So absolutely aligned on the checkout page being the same currency. I would just like to summarize it. So what do you think is a typical sort of setup which a brand should have? Should they have one single website across all geographies, or do you suggest like maybe keeping India separate and international separate? What have you seen working for brands which are now looking to go cross-border?
Okay, now let me divide this into two separate categories. So when you go cross-border, you will have two set of customers. First set of customers is you are selling only to Indians anywhere in the world, and it's the same catalog what you sell in India versus cross-border. If this is the case, you should have one website, one catalog, but a different pricing mechanism, proper taxation, proper checkout with the country currency so that they can make an easy payment. And it is very critical that Indians use WhatsApp everywhere in the world. So make sure you've enabled WhatsApp on your, either on the product page or somewhere on the checkout page. Yeah, assisted sales ke liye, you can have it on your website. This is very critical, right? Now, if you're selling the same catalog, so if you're selling a catalog which Indians are purchasing, you should definitely do it on one website with multi-currency and multiple payment options. India के लिए आप pricing को including taxes करो, and when you're selling in USD, make sure you pick the prices based on the pin code and zip code of that specific country so that it's a proper parity happens, and consumers are used to do this. By doing this, your SEO is sorted, your ranking never goes down, you manage only one website, your overall cost in terms of apps cost and operation cost and maintenance cost is on the lower side. Now there are some other categories for which you need to follow some local rules and guidelines, like face care products. So let's assume you're selling some I would say eye care or lip care or skin care products, and you want to sell it to US. Now for those products there are some basic guidelines in the market.
Correct.
Now it's a separate product. Product A, which is suitable for to Indian skin in India, and product which is suited to customer B in the US. Now, in such a case, you can think about building two websites, and I'm assuming for these consumers, they would still have a small catalog. For these consumers, you would have a separate catalog, separate content, separate images, separate ingredients. For such solutions, you can have something called a multi storefront, which means you have one backend, but you have three,
Okay,
four, five, seven different front ends, and you manage everything from one backend, but you got separate front ends. Orders
got
come
it.
from to one location, inventory manages from one location, pricing, content, all can be managed from one location, but you build separate front ends so that you can tag the right product to the right market, because product A is not relevant to product B, and product B is not relevant to market C, right? So in such a case, and there's a great example, we did it for a merchant called My Invitee, who's an Indian merchant, but they're based in Singapore for various reasons. They have five storefronts for five different countries, and this care sells skincare products. And this was one of the reasons why they migrated to BigCommerce, that they wanted one backend from the hassle of reduced cost. Because हमारे पास जितनी भी apps हैं, they are multi storefront app. Basically, if you deploy one app, it counts as one subscription for one store, and then usage based pricing है तो फिर वो एक अलग matter है, but it costs you as one. So all these operation challenges are taken care of, और आपको अपने प्रोडक्ट की एक्सक्लूसिविटी मिलती है. SEO also works in a good fashion. But if you selling same product in multiple markets on multiple website with same content, your SEO is gone and all those other problems. Your Google Merchant Center can create a problem. You're competing with your own keywords and then all those things. So अब इस multi storefront का एक और benefit ये है कि that you can actually tag your promotions also well. You can do it natively also, but that it works really well. Maybe you want to you have some other challenges as well, like orders for India are fulfilled from Mumbai, and orders for your cross border are fulfilled from, say, your warehouse somewhere in interiors of Mumbai, or
Okay,
you have a fulfillment center in US only, so that it helps you in managing your multi location and multi warehouse also.
got it, got it. I think Anshuman, this is super helpful. I personally learned so many nuances about cross-border in the last half an hour. The more I sort of get across to it, the more I've realized that while it's a very big opportunity, it needs to be done in the right fashion. Because we have seen brands sort of struggling in the initial phases if they don't get the setup right. Thank you so much for taking out time today. I really want to call out to everybody that look, we have seen some great traction among cross-border, especially among categories like women ethnic or ethnic in general, handicrafts. We've also seen Ayurveda is a very good category. So basically, that any category where there is some Indian connection, we have seen it growing very well. There's a huge Indian diaspora based out of US, UK, Australia, Canada. We have seen better ticket sizes, higher AOVs, better PNL. In fact, brands which are struggling to be profitable at a 5x ROS in India, they are seeing much better profitability even at a 3x return on ad spend in the US. So do give cross-border a try. But one clear call out, make sure you get the setup right. Like Anshuman highlighted today, there are a lot of pitfalls which brands can do when they're starting cross-border. So getting your initial base right will be a very important thing. Thank you so much, Anshuman, for taking out today for our discussion.
Thank you, Anshuk. And just last one statement I want to make. When we talk to merchants who have a good established business on maybe domestic and as a platform which is not BigCommerce, they struggle, or they have a fear at the back of their mind कि अगर हमने migrate किया तो हमारे साथ क्या होगा, कहीं business zero तो नहीं हो जाएगा ये. So I can assure you, if you're genuinely looking to migrate from platform A to platform B, please go for it. What you can do is you can plan it in a fashion that you do a beta launch, that you have a test group and you have a control group can continue where you are, and a test group can target on the new platform to a newer geography, because anyways सारा traffic paid sources से ही आना है. You can have a same catalog, and this is a very short term scenario, and we're not going to do SEO and all those things. To get confidence, please don't fear in planning to migration. Best of luck, happy selling, and trust me, cross border is a huge potential. Take care. Thank you, Anshuk. Thank
Thank
you,
you
team
so much,
Agil.
Anshuman.